That's Krishna.
Danke, Chef.
Little Krishna. Haribo.
Krishna? This is Krishna. You sure it's not? Who was that guy that put on the extra arms?
Oh,
Paundra.
Kandraka. That's what it is. Not Kandraka.
no.
Been pretty tight.
Andre had 4 arms, not 2.
Yeah, it's not that good.
Hare Rishi Gauritai ki, Gokul Dham ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Brihat Madanga Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Go Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Vishnu Vidaya, Krishna Vistaya Bhutale. Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Vacharine. Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Paschachate Shatarine. Hare Krishna. How are you? Good. You're staying here?
No, I'm staying in Cessnock.
Cessnock.
I come here.
Oh, wonderful. What's your name?
Mahesh, Bhakta Mahesh.
That's right, Mahesh Prabhu. Yes, nice to see you again.
Thanks.
Hare Krishna. Good. Where's Wayne? Is Wayne here? There he is.
Krishna Maharaj.
Harry Ball. How are you feeling? Feeling
Yes.
better?
Wicked.
Wicked, eh? My goodness, he's honest at least.
I was hoping to get some jobs done, go home and get on daily, but I'm coming back to
You wicked man.
wicked man.
A wicked man. Who else is here? Who else has arrived? That's it. Hare Krishna. And are we reading Bhagavatam today?
Yeah, been
Number?
reading from the 22nd chapter. Pitu Maharaj is meeting with the Kumara.
The verse number.
36.
36?
Yes.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Where are all the Matajis?
Matijis are up in the barn waiting to get milk.
Milk sweets.
Our Matijis all have 4 legs here.
Only 4-legged Matajis are allowed here. How are the Matajis? And the Mataji, where are your other 2 legs? Get 2 more legs. There's no 2-legged Matajis here. Dear me. This is a monastery.
Yeah.
Inaptiat Somi. Vanaprastha. To do. Is Shrango okay? Is he walking around? Is he looking for something? He doesn't know where anything is. He may want some water. He doesn't know where to get. He doesn't know where the toilet is. He doesn't know anything. He went left that way. So text number 36. Pare, avare, ja, ye, bhavaha, guna, vyatikarat, anu, na, tesha, vidyate, shemam, isha, vidvangsita, ashisham, pare vare chaye bhava, guna vyatikaradanu, natesham vidyatek shemam, isha vidvangshita shisham, pare vare chaye bhava, guna vyatikaradanu, natesham vidyatek shemam, isha vidvangshita shisham, pare vare chaye bhava, guna vyatikaradanu, Na tesham vidyate kshemam. Isha vidvam shita shisham.
Pare pare chaye baba. Guna vyatikaradanu. Tesham vidyate kshemam. Isha vidvam sita sisam.
Pare pare chaye baba. Guna vyatit karitanu. Natesham vidyate kshemam. Isha vidvam sistasam.
Pare vare chaye bhava. Guna vitikaradanu. Natesham vidyate kshema. Isha vidvam sitasisham.
Pare pare chaye baba. Guna vyatikaradanu. Natesham vidyate kshemam. Isha vidvam shitashisham.
Mataji's.
Pare Pare Chaye Bhava.
Pare chaye baba.
Gunavati Karadanu.
Gunavati karadanu.
Natesam Vidyate Kshemam.
Natesham vidyate kshemam.
Isha Vidvam Sitasisham.
Any more Mataji's? What about the four-legged ones? Do they come for class?
They're not trained like in.
Why aren't they coming for class?
They're not trained. They're not
Well,
qualified.
who's in charge here? They should, they should all be here for class.
Sannyasis are the natural gurus.
Okay, you have to take us there later on. We'll preach to them. Hey? What is it? Staying here and not coming to Bhagavatam class? Hare Krishna. They're already living the Bhagavatam. The whole world is the Bhagavatam for a self-realized soul. And the cows are certainly living the Srimad Bhagavatam, especially here, because they are serving Krishna. Lucky cows, huh? One of a million. One amongst a million cows. So today's verse is from the chapter Prithu Maharaj's meeting with the Kumaras. Word for word. Pare. In the higher status of life. Avare. In the lower status of life. Cha. And. Yea. All those. Bhavaha. Conceptions. Guna. Material qualities. Gati karat. By interaction. Anu. Following. Na. Never. Tesham. Of them. Vidyate. Exist. Shemam. Correction. Isha. Supreme Lord. Vidvamshita. Destroyed. Ashisham. Of the blessings. I'll say one thing, if Vishaka were here, she would get them all to come to class.
Yeah, Vishaka.
Remember our Vishaka?
In Malaysia, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Did you see her?
No, I read about it.
She would get those cows to come to class. Even if they didn't want to, she'd have them at least sitting out there listening. She'd be in here listening. They might sit outside. You all know that cow we had in Malaysia. One of our cows in Malaysia used to come and sit in the class every day with the ladies during class.
Change the baby comes like that.
Maybe, but can't understand the language. She could understand our language, but she wasn't able to speak it. She could understand. It was clearly obvious she could understand Tamil at least. Because when you say something, she could respond to it. Not English, she didn't understand English. Amazing cow. Used to stand up during kirtan, sit down during prasadam, sit down during class. Don't get many cows like that. We accept as blessings different states of higher life, distinguishing them from lower status of life, lower states of life. But we should know that such distinctions exist only in relation to the interchange of the modes of material nature. Actually, these states of life have no permanent existence. Thank God for that. Isn't it a relief to know that? These states of life have no permanent existence. For all of them will be destroyed by the Supreme Controller. Who is speaking? Cessnock. Purport. So they've already been received by Preacher Maharaj. In our material existence, we accept a higher form of life as a blessing and a lower form as a curse. This distinction of higher and lower exists only as long as the different material qualities, gunas, interact. In other words, by our good activities we are elevated to the higher planetary system or to a higher standard of life. Good education, beautiful body, wealth, etc. These are the results of pious activities. Similarly, by impious activities we remain illiterate, we get ugly bodies, a poor standard of living, etc. But all these different states of life are under the laws of material nature through the interaction of the qualities of goodness, passion and ignorance. But however, all these qualities will cease to act at the time of the dissolution of the entire cosmic manifestation. What do they mean? When the material energies in their present manifested form return into their unmanifested form, into pradhana, and then of course at the end of the final dissolution, enter back into the whole everything, including the jivas, enter back into the body of Mahavishnu at the end of total dissolution of the universe. What does it all mean? Just like a dream. Just like a dream. We're dreaming that I'm well educated, that I'm rich, that I'm handsome, that I'm this and I'm that. Just a dream. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord therefore says, Abham bhuvana loka punaravatin arjuna mamupecha tu konteya punarjanmana vidyate. Even though we elevate ourselves to the highest planetary systems by the scientific advancement of knowledge or by the religious principles of life, great sacrifices and fruitive activities at the time of dissolution, these higher planetary systems and life on them will be destroyed. Even though we're elevated to go to New Gokula, we have to return to Sydney. Hey, what's that? Who's put that in the purport? You've rewritten the purport? Yes, you have to go back to Sydney, I'm sorry. You can't stay here. You have to be very fortunate to stay here. Even if you are very fortunate, you can't stay here forever in one sense. You've got this glorious, but we're not here in that sense to stay in Sydney or Cessnock or Maitland or Newcastle, even Woy Woy or Gosford, anywhere. It's not our business. We're here to realize where we can really stay We will not be protected no matter where we go in this material world. Our bodies, either in this planet or in another planet, will be destroyed. And again, we will have to remain for millions of years in an unconscious state within the body of Mahavishnu. And again, when the creation is manifested, we have to take birth in different species of life and begin our activities again. Therefore, we should not be satisfied simply by a promotion to the higher planetary systems. We should try to get out. The purpose of our being here at New Gokul, of course, this is the spiritual world. Radha Gokul and Nanda are here. But at the same time, our minds may still be in the material world. Our consciousness is still attracted to the material world. So the point of our being here is to get out of this material consciousness. This one thing, annihilation of the universe, or temporal partial annihilation at the end of the day of Lord Brahma, when everything retracts into Garbhodakshai Vishnu. But the real pralaya, the real, let's say, bringing to an end the devastation is not even that, because you have to come back again. It's just like the sun sets at night. Is that the end of creation? Is that the end of your life? Is it the end of the sun? It's all over? No. You go to sleep at night, 12 hours, whatever you sleep, I don't know. How many hours do you sleep?
8, 9.
8 or 9, not bad, eh? 8 or 9. Some devotees are very expert at sleeping long, long hours. But even if you sleep, the morning comes again. Starts again, right? And you have to start off where you left off the night before, more or less, isn't it? You might take a little while waking up, shaking up. Where am I? Where am I? What's going on? Oh no. But basically you carry on where you left off the night before. You know, maybe different things at different time of the day, but basically you just carry on. You don't wake up a new person the next day, do you? You know, have a swap with your next door neighbour. Let's swap tomorrow, shall we? You can be me and I can be you. After when we wake up you wake up, well, sometimes a person has some problems, some imbalance of his psychophysical condition and can't remember who they are, and it seems to be like they're a different guy. But generally speaking, you wake up sort of more or less the same person the next day, isn't it? So like that, when the devastation comes, partial devastation, the living entities go in and during the night of Lord Brahma and have a nice sleep. If you like sleeping, you just hang around at the end of Lord Brahma's day. You can sleep for 4,300 million years. Is that long enough? And if you're really into, really, wait till the end of the universe when Brahma leaves quits his body, you can remain for. You can't say how long. Prabhupada just uses the term millions of years, but it's countless how long you can stay in an unconscious state in the form of Mahavishnu, before again he breathes out. And according to, he must have a pretty good accountant, but according to the previous karmas, your previous existence, you get born again somewhere in some universe, in some material body, and so it goes on ad infinitum until we actually shake and wake and get out of this and make a break. This is the whole purpose of human life, is to break out of this cycle of samsara. And the real devastation is not just the external one that's going on. There's nothing we can do about it. There's partial, there's like localized devastations, there's planetary devastations, there's universal devastation, there's all kinds of devastations, physical devastation of our body, very localized, that one. And there's all kinds of devastations, and the internal devastations are there for individuals on the local platform also. But the real devastation, the real pralaya, is when we actually, because unless we come to this one, where we actually change our consciousness, You have to just go through one type of devastation after another. You can't have it's suffering. You can't stop it. You've got to experience one devastation after another. Or one wicked. Say wicked? What is that wicked?
Not well, I suppose.
Always not.
First word.
You have to experience one flu, one flu after the next, one something or another. They never end. There's no end to the varieties of suffering that you can experience in this material creation. The real devastation when we change our conscience, when we give up the causes of our being in this material, when we remove the cause, not the effect. People just want to deal with the effect all the time. They're trying to adjust things so that we feel better in this world. We can die feeling better. We can go down feeling proud of our achievements as we drown in the ocean. You can't stop the wheel of time. No one can stop this wheel of Kala Chakra. It just goes on beyond their capacity. But it is, at least the opportunity is there within this human form of life to get out of it. And most people, even religions generally speaking, are trying to make it more comfortable, to try to go to the higher planets, or at most to get liberation. But rarely do they really have a picture of how to get out of this cycle. We will not be protected. And again, when the creation is met. Therefore, we should not be satisfied simply to be promoted. We should try to get out. Go to the spiritual world and take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Don't take shelter of this material body or the material effects around us, whatever they may be. That is our highest achievement. We should not be attracted by anything material, higher or lower, but should consider them all on the same level. They're all of the same source. Transformation of electricity into different forms has different temporary effects, but basically it's the same energy. Everything is the external energy of the Lord. And so when we become attached to one or the other, then we become entangled in the three modes of material nature, karma, grunta, and bandhanam. We become entangled in karma, or in action and reaction, because we're attached to a certain situation, and we act according to that attachment and become implicated in this material world. And we identify everything. But it's just a various show, a various, Maya, a drama. Maya is the director, directing these three modes of nature. We're really just watching it. But because of identification with it, we're being infected by it. But it's not really of any ultimate significance. Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes there is nothing of any substance or significance in this universe as such, other than the jiva and the holy name. Because the jiva is the permanent feature, and the holy name is the means of awakening the jiva to his actual nature, of releasing or freeing us from this material world. Our real engagement should be inquiring about the real purpose of life and rendering devotional service to the Lord. Earlier on, Srila Goswami had said earlier on, Kamasya nendriya kilabu jivetiya jivasya tattva jignasnatiyasche karma bhira. This life is not meant for sense gratification, it's meant for inquiry, jivasya tattva jignas, into the nature of the absolute truth. That should be the goal of all of our work. Thus we will be eternally blessed in our spiritual activities, full of knowledge and bliss. We make that simply, same thing in one sense, doing things, maybe, but the purpose is different. The purpose is to find out, instead of finding out how we can improve the situation in this world, our engagement should be how we can get out of this world by inquiring about the Supreme Lord, Omadapa Brahmadignas, the purpose of human life, to inquire about the nature of the absolute truth. Regulated human civilization promotes dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. In human society there must be religion. Without religion, human society is only Animal society. Economic development and sense gratification must be based on Dharma, religious principles. When religion, economic development and sense gratification are adjusted, liberation from this material birth, death, old age and disease is assured. When they're properly adjusted, that is. And when follows actual Dharma to Shaksha Bhagavat Pranitam, the religion given by the Lord, they may lead to liberation. In the present age of Kali, however, there is no question of religion and liberation. People have taken interest only in economic development all over the world, dealings in human society, and sense gratification. Therefore, despite sufficient economic development all over the world, dealings in human society have become almost animalistic. Earlier on, generally, religion is a means to try to fulfill our material objectives in most cases. And liberation for people is almost unknown from the material world. Therefore, despite sufficient economic development all over the world, dealings in human society become almost animalistic. When everything becomes grossly animalistic, dissolution takes place. This dissolution is to be accepted as Isha Vidvang Shita Shisham. The Lord's so-called blessings of economic development and sense gratification will be conclusively dissolved by destruction. And again, different types of destruction. It's not like in this age of Kali that everything is completely destroyed at the end of this age. No, it's not. But there's a tremendous amount of destruction or annihilation on the behalf of, or by Kalki, Lord Kalki. But the world remains, and some people remain, and in general, let's say, facilities of the world remain to start, but there's a tremendous destruction in the case. At the end of this Kali Yuga, the Lord will appear as Kalki, and his only business will be to kill human beings on the surface of the globe. After that killing, another golden age will begin. We should therefore know that our material activities are just like childish play. Children may play on the beach, and the father will sit and watch this childish play, the construction of buildings with sand, the constructions of walls, and so many things. But finally the father will ask the children to come home. Then everything is destroyed. Persons who are too much addicted to the childish activities of economic development and sense gratification are sometimes especially favored by the Lord when he destroys their construction of these things. They think that that's, the curse of the Lord. Just like in Christchurch. I don't know if any of you were around at that time in Christchurch. Many of you were not in Christchurch then. You're not in Perth anymore? You're still in Perth. So, I was there a few weeks after the earthquake a few years ago, and we attended the memorial ceremony, what it was called, on the Common, on Hagley Common, and there were hundreds of thousands of people there. The Prime Minister was there, and I think the guy from Australia came over, and Prince somebody, William or somebody was there. All the big shots were there, and what do they call it, Archbishop, or what do they call it, the Cathedral Church, the head of the Catholic Church, the head of the Protestant, they were all there, giving their speeches on the stage to the assembled crowd. We were obligated to go, as part of the community. And we didn't have a chance to speak. It was also these big knobs from all over the place. And then some big Maori talking. What on earth he was talking. Even the newspaper said it was the worst speech they'd ever heard him give. He said that in the newspaper. Talking about the trees and the river Gokul or something. And then the head of the Christian church said, "This is not the work of God." What was going on? This glorious city of Christchurch, we will rebuild this city again in the glory of God. This is the work of the... He was going basically saying the devil's work. No idea. No idea. And the American, we build Christchurch bigger and better than it ever was before. And everyone roars, you know.
More bottle shops.
Huh?
More liquor shops.
More and more what?
Liquor shop.
Liquor shops, yeah, more and more liquor shops. The first thing they put the money into was the rugby stadium. They didn't care about 20,000 people's houses being destroyed. They put a couple of billion into the rugby stadium to try to get that back in action again. See what their brains are at. Anyway, you don't understand, this is a sign from God. I was going to Sankirtana maybe a week or two after that earthquake, maybe 3 weeks after. We were in Sankirtana town, just outside of Christchurch, just doing books. I went in this shop, and I asked this lady, because that wasn't quite so affected by the earthquake. And I asked her how she felt. And what do you think about this, the earthquake? How's it affecting? She said, they deserved it, she said. They deserved it! Well, you said, all the damn things that are going on around here, they deserved it, she said. She was a pious lady. A bit New Agey, I suppose. Yeah, it's not just we deserve things. Krishna's trying to teach us a lesson. You know, it's a bit cruel to say you deserved it, especially on the spot. They can't handle that, you know. But a lesson, come on, try to learn a lesson. Krishna's telling you don't belong here. You're too comfortable, boy. Sitting in that chair at the back of the temple room there. Too comfortable. You're too comfortable back there. Krishna's a lesson. Sometimes he knocks the chair out from underneath us and then, oh God, what's going on around here? Who did that? Hey! Why is God doing this to us? He's teaching us a lesson, that's all. You can't depend on this material world. There's no shelter. There's no protection. You understand? Sure? Are they teaching you that at school? No. What are they teaching you at school?
How to get shelter from the material energy.
Yes, how to enjoy the material world. How to make money and enjoy the material world, right? Get a degree. Right? Get a degree and enjoy. Right? Come to Sydney. What are you doing out here in Millfield? What are you doing out here? You should be working in Sydney.
Never had a job in my life, man.
That's terrible. Lazy fella. Didn't you see all the intelligent people who they're all driving into Sydney to the few intelligent people who live out here. Lazy people out here sitting down here doing nothing. Do something useful. Work hard. Work hard. Get a job. Make money. Get a big car so you can get to work. And a big house. And pay a big mortgage and work harder to pay your mortgage. And then when they sack you, you have your house taken away from you because you can't pay the mortgage. Right? That happens. Enjoy! Eat nice processed food. Take some nice drugs. Drink some nice liquor. Smoke some nice cigarettes. Pay some nice speeding fines. What other wonderful things can you do in this world? Anything else? You can play footy. Is that what they call it? They call it footy?
Rugby.
Huh?
Rugby.
You can surf. You can surf. You can enjoy your surf. Have you been surfing? He hasn't worked, he hasn't surfed. What has he done? He's wasted 50% of his life.
Gambling at the races.
Huh?
Gambling at the races.
Races?
Gambling.
Gambling at the races.
Gaming?
Gambling.
Gambling! No, you can gamble! Yeah, you can gamble your debts. That's what people do. They borrow money to gamble. Isn't it? And then they get further in debt. And many wonderful things you can do. That's just a few. I mean, it's just imagine what you're missing. There's so many things, especially in Australia, a heavenly planet. Probably because perhaps you've been to the beach. Nice beaches, right? So many nice beaches, isn't it, Kalia?
And we have a pool down the back, March.
You have a pool? What, for the gambling pool, or what is that?
We have a nice dam, swimming.
You have a dam. So we'll go swimming later on. You want to go swimming?
Can try.
Huh?
Can try.
So many wonderful things. And it probably says you're like a child on the beach. Isn't it? Remember, go back a few years, maybe you did, I don't know. We used to do that shranga at the beach in Blackpool. Make sand castles. Used to go to Blackpool, right? Must have done. You lived a couple of miles away from Blackpool. Blackpool Beach. Nothing compares with Blackpool Beach. Nothing. Only Weston-super-Mare compares with Blackpool. You couldn't find a more horrible beach if you tried. Millions of people go there and sit next to each other. They work in a factory. Well, they don't do that now. Work in the office. Live next door, and then they go to the beach and they all sit there in deck chairs and with an umbrella to stop the rain. Wondering when the tide will come in. And it's like 50 miles out there, so when it comes in once a day, then it goes out faster than you can catch it when it goes out. That's true. Horrible. Anyway, people go there, you make sand when they're young, we make these sand castles. You had that experience? Making sand castles on the beach? When you're a kid and you're trying to protect it out of the tides, you make a little castle there, you know, with a moat around it and a wall, and, you know, you're hoping you're going to fit, and you're in there, you're trying to protect against the tide comes in, and you're like, oh, it's just, all goes. And you're crying and crying and crying, and you know, you lost your castle. That's all the Prabhupada said, that's what's going on here in this world, we're just making sand castles, that's all. Tall ones. Sydney is full of tall sand castles. It is a sand castle, that's what it's made of, isn't it? It's just made of sand in a different compressed way. The architect, you know all these things. Glass is also based on sand. Cement is based on sand. It's just a sand castle, just combined in a different way. And the tide would come along soon and just sweep it all away. Isn't it? It could happen just like that. Boom. Could be an earthquake. Boom. What would you do? Boom. Crumble to the ground. Crumble to the ground. Just like in Christchurch, they thought they were protected, right? They have the most, practically speaking, anti-earthquake built buildings in Christchurch that you can get. They're built for quite extreme earthquakes. Quite extreme. But this one they weren't ready for it. Earthquakes normally go, they go like this. And the epicenter, boom, 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 boom. This one went, boom, 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 boom. It went up. It was the first time such a powerful earthquake in history, their records, anyway, went up like that. It wasn't very powerful, but because it went up, the buildings weren't built to withstand 2.5 times the speed of gravity force going up. It was 2.5 times the speed of gravity, the up force. They weren't protected. They were only built for about 50% up or something. They don't get that. So you don't know. You think, oh, we're protected, we're safe. But don't worry. There's Krishna or Krishna's energies, his representatives, they find a way around it. You can't. You can't escape. We mentioned that yesterday, didn't we? About the man who thought he could evade death. He was, what was he? An expert what?
Sculpture.
Sculptor. Very good. And what did he do?
He sculpted many similar forms of himself.
Exactly. Isn't he attentive? Fantastic. I don't know if anyone else would have got that. Well done, Keisha. He was expert sculptor, so he made dozens of identical forms to himself. And because he was just about to die, he knew death was coming. So he thought, now, I might avoid getting captured by the Yamadutas. They might grab the wrong one. Because they all looked identical. And when the Yamadutas come, they have a picture of you, see. Someone else gives them a picture. This is the guy.
Wanted.
Huh?
Wanted.
Yeah, wanted. Dead.
Repossession.
Dead.
The repossession, you know.
Repossession. They come to repossess. And so they had a picture, they came there, and they were there. Hey, what's going on here? They all look the same. What are we going to do? Which one is it? Which one are we supposed to take? They only had license to take one. They couldn't take them all. So they said, which one is it? So one of them was very clever. He said, well, whoever made these sculptors, these models or whatever they are, was a lousy sculptor. Terrible. And immediately, of course, the actual person said, what do you mean I'm a lousy sculptor? And away he went. Got him. And you can't trick death. You can't trick it. You can't get away from it, no matter who we are. Rich, poor, educated, heavenly planets, hellish, wherever we are, even Brahma cannot avoid it. It is said by the Lord, Yasyaham vinami harishe taddanam shanai. The Lord told Yudhishthira Maharaj that his special favor is shown to his devotee when he takes away all the devotee's material opulences. Special favor. Do you take it like that? Do we take it like that? Huh? Oh no, I've been chanting Hare Krishna and Krishna's taking it away. This is terrible. I've lost I'm losing everything. Why am I? We sometimes think the opposite. Why is Krishna doing this to me? I'm chanting Hare Krishna. Prabhupada also. This verse, Bhagavatam, Prabhupada quoted this quite often because he realized that's what Krishna was doing to him. To clear the pathway for his mission. Sometimes Krishna gives a lot of opulence, depending on the circumstance. If it's an obstacle or some another, it's an obstacle, Krishna will take away. That's his mercy. And if he gives it, that's also his mercy. We should see it like that. Neither get or get, or don't get. We should see that some another Krishna is giving us his mercy. He knows what's best for us. One time, one devotee man in London, he was new to Krishna consciousness. He came to the temple, and he was, sometimes we're beginning to get a little bit, maybe a little bit over sentimental, enthusiastic, mixture of enthusiasm and sentimentality. But he was quite a well-situated man, businessman in London, in the finance market. And he kind of got quite serious in his own way about Krishna consciousness. Maybe he didn't take advice what to do, but he's actually started praying to the Lord of Krishna. I just wonder, please, just remove anything which is an obstacle to my devotional service. He started praying like that. That's what he said he did anyway. He started praying, and after a short while he didn't come anymore. We didn't see him. And it took quite a while, maybe a year, 2 years, I don't know, quite a while before he came back again. And then asked him, what happened? Where have you been? He said, just everything's just gone completely wrong. I got sacked from my job. My wife left me. I went bankrupt. I crashed my car. One legal case after another different. He said, my life just became everything. I lost everything. And then, in discussion, he realized it was when he actually was praying like that, Krishna took all those things away. It's a funny thing. It doesn't usually happen like that, but in his case, he did. Of course, he came back to Krishna consciousness again. And for whatever reason, Krishna took things away from him. Maybe they were obstacles on his path to spiritual life. But that's the way Krishna only deals. But again, it's a question of stages. Although these stages are there in the material world, and they are, you could say, as said in this verse, ultimately illusory, of no ultimate value. For one who is within the stages, we have to know what it's like if we're sick. In one sense, the soul's not sick, but the body is sick. And you don't just give the same medicine to everybody. People are at different types of sickness and at different stages within the sickness. One has to know the appropriate dosage, the appropriate nature of the medicine at that particular stage. Similarly, even in our own devotional services, there are certain things which are more appropriate at certain stages. We don't try to imitate someone at a more advanced stage. Otherwise we may trip, we may fall. Everything else is, we have to know what is relevant for our advancement at a particular stage. Devotional service, although it may not be. It could be said from the spiritual point of view, so to speak. Just surrender to Krishna. Give up everything and just surrender to me, Krishna says. But that's the goal. And the path of surrender may be just offering the fruits of one's work to Krishna, or just doing some work for Krishna. Krishna gives the stages also. But that's the ultimate goal of following the path of surrender. We can't start. Sometimes we start off thinking, I can completely surrender. And maybe you're already ready for it, but not everyone is. We still have a lot of attachments. And they have to be, our heart has to be purified. You have to be purified. It's not enough just to give up the material world and remain attached to the material world itself. Kamendriyani samyamya, your esteem and assessment, indriyatu mudatma, vichara suchite, Krishna says. One who does that, who tries to give up the material world, but his heart remains attached, or consciousness is attached to the material world, although we've given up externally, is simply a pretender and a fool. We have to go through the right path in order to purify our consciousness. Otherwise it's just a matter of time we fall right, and sometimes deeply right back into material life. So the process of purification is a stage, generally it's gradual, to gradually move towards that of complete surrender. Not some artificial imposition, but a natural. Because why? Because we're actually getting some knowledge, understanding who we are. Who are we? We're waking up. When you wake up, naturally things become clear. Things start to become clear. And Krishna is actually, you start to become attracted towards Krishna. And then naturally one's attraction for this material world reduces. Having to make an artificial effort to avoid one is so busy or engaged in Krishna's service that one doesn't have to worry so much about that. We just finished the purport. The Lord told Yudhisthira Maharaj that his special favor is shown to his devotee when he takes away all the devotee's material opulences. Generally, therefore, it is experienced that Vaishnavas are not very opulent in the material sense. Take it away or give it. So the recommended path of bhakti is that we offer everything to Krishna. Then it's, in that sense, is not ours. If one is that little mature, we can understand that everything I'm so-called have, it belongs to Krishna. One simply uses it in Krishna's service. So in one sense, it's already taken away. And if we don't have that recognition, or that we're not behaving in that way, Then, if Krishna is very kind, then he may take it away from us to try to wake up. When a Vaishnava, pure devotee, tries to be materially opulent and at the same time desires to serve the Lord, his devotional service is checked. That's it. And if one's already materially opulent, that's a little different. If we try to become materially opulent, in other words, that's our endeavour to attain material opulence. So can be an obstacle on one's spiritual plan. The Lord, in order to show him a special favour, destroys his so-called economic development and material opulence. Many times the Buddha said, Prabhu, I'm going to do business. I'm not a businessman as such, but I'm going to do some business to try to make a lot of money for Krishna. It sounds good. But oftentimes, in most cases, it doesn't work. They end up not only not making money, but they often slack on their spiritual lives, working like an ass, because it's not our nature, it's not our position to imitate somebody else's natural activity. And like that. There's a nice story of one tailor. His name was Somalika. And he was a very, very good tailor. Extremely good tailor. And but nobody was buying his cloth. So Somalika was saying, is the people in this mill field, they don't appreciate my cloth. These people in Millfield, they have no good taste. I will go somewhere else to sell my cloth. His wife said, no need. We have enough to live. Even if we're not very opulent, we're very poor, but we have enough to live. Not dying. He's a devotee. And he said, no. If I go to Newcastle, I will make a fortune. And I said, no need. And he insisted. He went off to Newcastle. He worked hard in Newcastle. Yeah, 3 packets of tissue. We were collecting tissue. We assimilated 15 packets in Sydney. This is my special way. This is how I make my money. I go to various temples and collect tissue papers and then recycle them. Even these ones, we put them in the washing machine. Anyway, so Maliki went off to Newcastle to make his fortune. And sure enough, after maybe 6 months in Newcastle, he made a fortune. And he came back to Millfield to show off his fortune. But before he reached Millfield, when he reached Elongong, what's that place called down the road? Little village. Anyway, let's go back one step further. He reached Cessnock. And when he got to Cessnock, he took a little rest. He was tired. So he took a little rest, and he had a dream. Action! Why have you given Somalika so much wealth when he didn't deserve it? Providence, he worked so hard, I had to reward him. But now it is up to you what happens to that wealth. And he said they were ugly, horrible looking creatures who came in his dream. They were nasty fools. Somalika woke up and thought, my God, what was all that about? What was that all about? And he kind of had an intuition, something's gone wrong here. He looked in his trunk at all the gold coins. There was nothing left. It was all gone. Not one coin left. Oh my God! Oh, this is terrible. What am I going to do? I can't go home now. I'll be the laughing stock. I better go back again. I went back to Newcastle and worked even harder and accumulated even more wealth. Yes, he was a good tailor and the people appreciated his cloth. After even half the time, he returned to Millfield. And this time he said, I will not stop on the way. I will go straight to Millfield. But as fate has its way, he didn't He thought, oh, I can't walk any further. He just sat down for a few moments and he started chanting japa. And like all good devotees, when they start chanting japa, they immediately fall asleep. Or maybe he started reading the Bhagavatam. Now it's a perfect cure for insomnia. Srimad Bhagavatam class. Please repeat. Sometimes you hear devotees snoring. Sometimes you hear a bang as their head hits the ground.
One devotee in Melbourne used to stand up, and he went to sleep standing up, and he fell down on the devotees.
In London, one devotee who's now a guru sannyasi in ISKCON fell on top of the devotee giving class. He was stood behind, because the asana was a little bit out, asana was out, and he was stood behind. I could see a little bit, he was like wobbling like this, and eventually went bang, and he landed on top of the devotee giving the class. I won't mention his name, he's now a guru and sannyasi in ISKCON. In Germany one time, Pajari told me this story. They had to go through the temple to bring the plate to the altar there, in that temple, maybe in Schloss Reschenshof or something in the 70s. He said he came in the temple one day with the offering, and absolutely everyone was asleep, including the lecturer. The lecturer was also asleep. Everyone in the temple was asleep. That was a really fired up Bhagavatam. It's improved now because devotees sleep as long as they want nowadays. You couldn't do that in those days. You know, if you didn't get to sleep on time, there's no question of taking rest in the day. There's no way. If you didn't get any sleep at night, that was it. You didn't get any sleep in the day either. Simple as that. But devotees were tired. They were tired. They worked very hard. And they slept very less. And they used to eat a lot as well.
It's a good combination.
Hard work, a lot of little sleep, and a lot of eating. It's a good combination. You can do it. You do tend to fall asleep when the class is going on because.
When you're driving the car.
Huh?
And when you're driving the car.
When you're driving a car, yeah. Well, that Prabhupada was really upset when the devotees would fall asleep during the car. He said the driver must take extra sleep. At least the driver must not fall asleep. Many devotees lost their bodies like that. It was a very terrible thing. Anyway, what happened to Somalika? So he went back, and then on his way back to Millfield, he fell asleep again for a moment. And there they were. Action! Why have you given Somalika so much wealth? What can I say? He worked so hard, he deserved it. But now it is up to you, Providence, what happens to it. Immediately, Somalika snapped out of his... Oh, yeah. Immediately snapped out of his sleep. Of course, he immediately assumed, oh no! Oh, don't tell me it's happened again! No, please, no! He looked in his trunk. Nothing there. Not even 1 cent. Nothing. He looked up, there was a tall tree with branches. He had a rope with him. He climbed up the tree, put the rope, tied the rope to the branch, put the noose around his head. Was just about to jump off and commit suicide. Just as he was doing that, Somalika! Oh God, it's you again! It's you again! Providence was there. I can't even commit suicide! Let me go, will you? Said, Somalika, what do you want? You know what I want. I want wealth. You think that will make you happy? Of course it will make me happy! All right, and I can give you wealth. If you can give me wealth, why did you do what you did in the first place? All right, because I want to teach you a lesson. Oh, what is that? You go back to that town where you made your wealth. So he did. He went back. He said, I will arrange everything, brother. I want you to visit the house of a very rich man in that town. So he went to the house of a very rich man. And he saw this very rich man was very unhappy. Miserable, miser, nasty. Having nothing. It was very unpleasant experience. Then he said, you go to the house of a very poor man. He went to the poor man's house. And the poor man received him like God. He practically gave his house to him, a small house, but he gave everything to him and treated him with such love. He felt so happy in that house. Then he had a realization that wealth is not really a guarantee of happiness in any way. Piety means to be steady in one performance of one's particular duty. So he returned to his home and lived very simply, but happily therein, putting Krishna in the center. The goal of life is not to become wealthy. The goal of life is not to enjoy sense gratification. It's to actually live in this world with the gifts of God, offer those gifts to the Supreme Lord, and live simply in this world. Not to say that's going to make you happy depending on your karma, but if we live like that, at least we won't be agitated by the never-ending driving desires which come into our mind. They never end. It's a never-ending flow. So to try to be satisfied with the gifts of God, and if Krishna gives us more, fine. Let's use them in Krishna's service. By offering our fruits of our work to Krishna, our consciousness to Krishna, everything, eventually, of course, belongs to Krishna. We try to offer it to him. He's stuck in my throat and nasals. Thus the devotee, being frustrated in his repeated attempts at economic development, ultimately takes solid shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord. We realize Krishna very kindly making it obvious we have no, even with our minds, what to speak of externally, the mind, we take shelter of so many different methods and so many different thoughts and so on, even to control our mind while chanting. This technique, that technique, so many, they may be useful, but ultimately it's only when we surrender to Krishna, by his mercy, when we actually appeal. We cannot, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, it's impossible for the jiva to single-handedly control the illusion of inattention. It's impossible. It's only possible by the mercy of the Lord. Therefore one should pray fervently for the Lord's mercy. When we actually, cry for Krishna. But that's what it means. Like a child crying for its mother. It's not some sentimental tears. It means when our heart is like that we're desperately calling out for Krishna. Help. We cannot save ourselves. Only when we have that protection. We have to ask for that shelter. We have to ask for that protection. Even internally. Otherwise it's just a long battle. The mind never stops. Maya has unlimited, gives unlimited channels. Like on the television now, you have unlimited channels. People watch things from all over the world. Previously there was only one channel. When we were kids there were two. One to be BBC, then ITV came in. That was it. Two channels. One had adverts and one didn't. now there's millions of so many things you can, so bewildering, very bewildering. But whatever it is, we have to try to focus on as much as we can on praying for the mercy of the Lord, His protection. In the course, the kind of action may also be accepted as Isha Vidham Shita Shisham, whereby the Lord destroys one's material opulences but enriches one in spiritual understanding. That's the real wealth. The wealth is not material, the wealth is spiritual. In the course of our preaching work, we sometimes see that materialistic persons come to us and offer their obeisances to take blessings, which means they want more and more material opulences. Like this week, Lord, Swamiji, please give me your blessings. My 110-year-old mother is sick. Please give blessings. Oh, I lost my job. Please give your blessings. We have exams coming. My wife is pregnant. Please give blessings. Yes, in one sense it's there. It's not the real blessings, as you know. When Papa was on a train in India one time, some Indian gentleman came into his compartment. They said, Swamiji, please give us your blessings. Papa said, yes, all right, I bless you. And there were two sannyasis, disciples of Prabhupada, sat down in the compartment and said, I bless you that you become like them. No, Swamiji, please, no, don't give that blessing, not that blessing. Prabhupada said, my blessings are here. This is my blessings, my books are my blessings. The blessing is how to get out of this place, not to make this damned place, a nice place. The real blessing is how it may appear a little bit, this and that, but the ultimate blessing is how to get out of this material world. That's all. In the course of our preaching, blessings. Some people think that's all that the Swami is, or the sadhus are for, is to bless. Touch their feet and give me blessings. Please let me touch your feet, and please give me your blessings. Dump their karma on you all the time. If such material opulences are checked, such persons are no longer interested in offering obeisances to the devotees. That happens. Even one devotee, Pranagopal, actually yesterday. You know Pranagopal? He was telling me he was watching in Vrindavan. He was a little kind of like amazed by it. So many people. You don't even know it when you're in a holy place or in India or anything. Especially there. See, suddenly devotees and people were coming up when I was talking to somebody from behind, offering obeisances, or from this side. And if I didn't recognize their act of offering obeisances, he noticed that almost all of them went away looking disturbed. It wasn't like there was a motive in doing it. It wasn't pure. The motive was to get recognition or some words of some kind, People have this kind of funny ideas like this. And then many of them were devotees, maybe beginning devotees. You can see it was a bit artificial. They offer obeisances to saintly persons. Such materialistic persons are always concerned about their economic development. And they offer obeisances to the saintly persons, or they pray to God, the Supreme Lord, to give something, they give something in charity, yes, the preaching work, with a view that they will be rewarded with further economic development. They may even give some, but they're thinking, now I'll get my returns. However, when one is sincere in his devotional service, the Lord obliges the devotee to give up his material development and completely surrender unto him. Because the Lord does not give blessings of material opulence to his devotee, people are afraid of worshipping Lord Vishnu. Because they see the Vaishnavas who are worshippers of Lord Vishnu are poor in superficial material opulences. Sometimes people say it's not always the case, but in many cases you hear this, and in many cases this is actually what it is. In some cases it's not. Such materialistic persons, however, get an immense opportunity for economic development by worshipping Lord Shiva. For Lord Shiva is the husband of the goddess Durga, the proprietor of this universe. By the grace of Lord Shiva, a devotee gets the opportunity to be blessed by the goddess Durga. Ravana, for example, was a great worshipper and devotee of Lord Shiva. And in return, he got all the blessings of goddess Durga. So much so that his whole kingdom was constructed of golden buildings. Every building was made of gold. Opulence. In Brazil, what is this? In the present age, huge quantities of gold have been found. And from historical references in the Puranas, we can guess safely that this was Ravana's kingdom. This kingdom was, however, destroyed by Lord Ramchandra. Interesting. By studying such incidents, we can understand the full meaning of Isha Vidvam Shita Shisham. The Lord does not bestow material blessings upon the devotees, for they may be entrapped again in this material world by continuous birth, death, old age, and disease. Due to materialistic opulences, persons like Ravana become puffed up for sense gratification. Ravana even dared to kidnap Sita, who was both the wife of Lord Ramchandra and the goddess of fortune, thinking that he would be able to enjoy the pleasure potency of the Lord. At the present moment, human civilization is too much attached to economic development and sense gratification, and is therefore nearing the path of ruination. Is it true they're too attached to economic development? Sense gratification, what do you think? Some of you are working in that world. Are they so really attached? Is that the motive, economic development? Isn't it?
It depends which kind of center. It's different.
I'm talking the world around us. Yes? Isn't that the driving force behind even wars? Even sometimes religions? Isn't it? Politics? Isn't it all driven? Isn't that Kali's main weapon, so to speak, the economics? But it states in the Bhagavatam that where there's force hoarding of gold, artificial monetary system, Prabhupada said this is how Kali controls, through the artificial monetary system. Now we have these credit cards and this thing and that thing, isn't it? It's all very artificial. And people are completely locked in the system. It's all Kali's expert. The education system is part of that locking system. The medical system, everything is part of Kali's plan to keep everyone locked in that mesh of this age. And to get out of it is very difficult. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement is the method to cut through that knot, or that bondage which we're in, knotted up. You can't live simple very easily these days. It's very difficult in terms of simple lifestyle. So this Sankirtan is really the methodology for most, at least, for everyone, in the real sense, of surviving in this age and attaining freedom from this material trap. So any comment, questions or comments? I went out of one packet of tissues. It's gone. 2 questions. 3 questions. 1, 2, 3. Comment, okay.
Gurudev, when you said that about the sleeping, when my dad was looking in Facebook, he found like.
You gave the game away. Where is he? Yes. Welcome. He was from Sydney, everyone. Yes.
We found like the Prime Minister when he was in the Parliament. He was like sleeping.
He was asleep in the Parliament. Maybe the Prime Minister was in the middle of the session.
Yeah.
In the middle of the session, he was asleep.
Meditating.
Huh?
Meditating. Maybe meditating. I think.
Meditating.
Tony Abbott.
Yeah, you see, very often I've seen many times judges fast asleep during the court. I've seen that with my own eyes.
One case.
Yeah, I've seen that with my own eyes. Judges.
Great judges.
Because it's so damn boring sometimes, you know, all this reading all these evidences and stuff. Yeah, people sleep in the office. I'm sure people fall asleep sometimes, don't they? Huh?
No.
No? Never?
I did.
I'm sure you do. Sometimes that happens all over the place.
They have coffees.
Pardon?
They have coffees.
Yeah, you take a lot of coffee, that helps to keep you awake, it's true. Coffee is a drug, a legal drug. It's a legal drug. It's a legal form of amphetamine and so on. Thank you for that interesting comment.
Maharaj, in terms of, that we're attached to wealth and everything, when if Krishna takes away that wealth, we don't want Krishna to take away the wealth, but in terms of being a grahastha, trying to provide for the family, how does that work? Like if I'm single, if wealth goes, I can just go into the brahmana, into the temple or the ashram, but being a family man, how can we take that instruction?
Yeah, he sees if it's actually an obstacle or not. It may not be an obstacle. You know, especially when not everyone's on the same level. We're on different stages. Obviously, Krishna doesn't necessarily, unless you really ask him to, and unless there's some other factors involved, he won't necessarily do that. I mean, you may not get as much as you want sometimes. Maybe a little bit. Maybe you do. But Krishna knows exactly what is favourable for us, so he's not going to take it away if it's not favourable. Mm-hmm. And if, say, for instance, the wife is not up to the standard or up to the mark, or the husband's up to the mark, Krishna's not going to unnecessarily create some kind of unnecessary disturbance within the situation of the home. Mm-hmm. That does sufficient to nurture and maintain one's family, or household, etc. In most cases, he's not going to take away. What his real plan is, whatever it takes. The externals are not really the main thing. Whatever is favourable for you to actually develop, say, genuine detachment from this world. You can still have billions of dollars and be detached. You can have, palace and still be detached. And there are many examples of pure devotees who are extraordinary. Even instead, Yudhishthira Maharaj and Krishna happened. This is discussing Yudhishthira Maharaj here. And there's another incident, one of the Pranasas said, Yudhishthira Maharaj, when Krishna said, ask for me any benediction you want, he said, I want opulence. And then the Lord said, Yudhishthira, after all these years I thought you were a devotee, why are you asking me for material opulence? And he said, because I want to show people that, your devotees are not only poor, they are also rich. So, different reasons, the Lord may do different things. Sometimes it may be to be opulent may actually be beneficial for the devotee and the community's Krishna consciousness. Because that will help eventually to take away one's attachment to this material world. Sometimes if you have no opulence, you're just thinking about it all the time. It ain't going to do you much good. You just meditate on how I can become rich. There's no real value. Do it and move on. That's about Krishna. If you're very advanced Krishna, they also give great opulences sometimes if they're meant to use it in that way. If their lesson is to teach how, simple living, or many of the Goswamis, they're living with none. They were very rich before they became sannyas. So Krishna teaches different lessons in different ways, Some people are very rich, and they're also, Pundarikini was extremely opulent, and he taught through him how you can be extremely opulent and also be a pure devotee. So it just depends on the situation, but he's not going to take anything away which is unfavourable or would be detrimental to you having a chance to realise or to become more dependent upon Krishna. Depending on the attitude of the devotee, really. More on the attitude. Definitely not just because you've got opulence, he's not going to take it away necessarily. If you're not using it in Krishna service and it's actually entangling one in the material world, and opening the doors for sense gratification, then then Krishna may take things away if it's going to teach us the lesson. If we're not ready for the lesson, he may not do it either. He only does it when we're ready for the lesson. So generally, if we're not ready for the lesson, he doesn't. Just like anything, you're like a child. You know, at certain stages you may, take certain thing, or may help the child to understand to let go of these things at a certain stage. You may even have to take them away at a certain stage if they're actually not letting go. Even dummies, sometimes you have to take the dummy away at a certain time. Generally speaking, certain things, certain stages are unfavourable to go to the next stage, so to speak. Krishna may help you to release us from that which is holding us back.
Following from the last question here, we have two cases where Srila Prabhupada lost some of his spiritual items, like his wife stole his Bhagavad Gita, and in America his typewriter got stolen. So how would you explain a case like this?
Besides just analysing from a plain fact that you're in this material world and these things are part and parcel, so to speak, of material life, it always increased or opened up to something else. Like his stealing of the typewriter was instrumental in his moving to the Bowery. If that hadn't happened, he may not have moved to the Bowery. If he hadn't moved to the Bowery, he may not have met Michael Grant and Keith Ham and all these other persons who were the instigators of the movement, basically, and amongst the young people there. So, it was something which instigated, and someone else gave him one anyway. It's like they engaged somebody else in devotion and service. And his stealing of his Bhagavatam, or his wife selling his Bhagavatam for the Bhagavad Gita manuscripts, all was part of Prabhupada's kind of, it actually increased his attachment to Krishna, his determination to push forward the mission of Krishna consciousness. Determined, and helped him become, let's say, relieved of anything else which was holding back on his preaching in the Western world. And there's also a lesson where he's showing, even if you do lose things in the world, don't give up. Just determine and carry on, you see. Occasionally give up. Why should I stay here? But Prabhupada was determined. He carried on because he had the order of his spiritual master. So even if manuscripts or typewriters were stolen, he showed that you shouldn't give up. You should be determined. Not just dependent on things going the way you'd like them to go. You have to take shelter of Krishna, whatever happens. That way lessons, as well as his own personal motivations or movements, were affected by these events. Okay, we'll finish there. Hare Krishna, lunchtime. Hour or so. Hare Krishna. Guys, enjoy your day here at New Gokul. No more wineries, okay, wait? No more wine waiting.
Never had a problem with wineries, Maharaj.
No?
Never.
Never had a
Wineries.
We're going to do the daily worship of the day this night.
Yeah.
We're going to make a food offering. Where are the bags? Are they in the car still, Shreya?
The black bag is here, but the black bag is here, but the other bags are in the car.
And someone get them into the room where I can understand.
Yeah, I'll ask.
And where everybody else is staying. I don't know.